When today's guest renovated a vintage camper van during lockdown, she had no idea that it would ignite a passion for interior design and lead her to a whole new career. Welcome to the HubCast, brought to you by the Interior Designers Hub, where we help and support interior designers to get trained, get into the industry, and to grow wildly successful businesses. If you want to work in the field you love, create the lifestyle you desire, and make the money you truly deserve, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Kate Hatherall. Let's get into it. Hello. So on the podcast today, we've got Kate van der Meulen, who runs a business called Kate VDM Interior Design. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Hi.
It's really good to have you here today. Thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
Amazing. So, Kate, tell us a little bit about what you do now. Tell us about your interior design business.
Yeah. So I run an interior design business from my home. I'm based just outside Stroud in Gloucestershire. And I offer a series of packages that are designed to be affordable to everybody, which include room design schemes, colour consultations, and home staging.
Amazing. And do you do the project management side of things as well, or do you focus mostly on design?
I primarily focus on the design side of things. That's something that I might venture into, as my business grows. But at the moment, I'm enjoying the design and I love the colour consultation and putting the schemes together.
Yeah, amazing. And is interior design something that you've always done, or did you have sort of, a life before interior design?
I have had quite a long life before interior design, but actually it's something that I've always loved. And I never for a moment dreamt that I would ever be able to get into it. I can remember donning a paintbrush and putting up wood chip wallpaper in family members' houses, those ones that would be brave enough to let me have a go as a teenager, and just loved transforming rooms right from the get-go, so I sort of dabbled a little bit when I was in my sort of student years. I worked in interior design shops and used to sort of, like I say, put schemes together for my family and help them and advise them. But because I was never really deemed as an artistic child, didn't ever think that would be a career I could ever follow. So I ended up studying advertising and marketing, and then had a long career in working in that. And then I eventually decided, just in the middle of lockdown, that actually I needed to start thinking about doing something new or doing something as well as my career. I wanted to sort of explore whether or not I could get into interior design again, and really didn't think that it would be something that I could feasibly do, but just started exploring online courses and found yours. And I was like, actually, this is real. I could do this. So that's how I sort of started.
That's amazing. And I've heard this sort of part of the story so many times from other people as well, that as a child, they weren't particularly arty, or perhaps they were more academic, or, but that just wasn't something that was thought about or encouraged for them. And I just think it's amazing how you can actually be really creative, but you don't know it until later on in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I've never been very good at putting pen to paper, but I've always been able to visualize. So when people said you're not creative, I would think, well, I don't quite feel that is right, but I couldn't argue otherwise, because I couldn't draw, couldn't really paint, but I could see what something could be. And as an interior designer, you can very often walk into a space and go, oh, this could be amazing, or I could do this or that with it,
Absolutely. And I think the career that you did then go into, I mean, that sounds to me like it's quite creative as well, marketing, advertising.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I always had that pull. I wanted to be in that creative sphere and wanted to feel like I was a part of it. And when you look at advertising and marketing, you can either go down the creative route and become a copywriter or an art director, or you go into the account management side. And again, because of that lack of ability to be able to articulate what I wanted in my head on paper, I ended up down the account management side of things, and then had a long career doing that, but always wanted to be in that creative zone and see things, come to fruition.
Amazing. And do you find that now you've been working in the more creative side, if you like, that your own creativity has developed and that you now see that you're more creative than perhaps you thought you were before?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And when I started telling people that I was studying to be an interior designer and was thinking about following that career, I had so many people go, "Oh, but you'll be so good at that." So I obviously, there was something there, but I couldn't see it myself or didn't feel it was there naturally. But actually, it has sort of manifested itself and shown itself, and I can see it there, and I can see how studying it has helped me to display my skills in a better way, and sort of teased out a lot of the creative things that were probably lurking at the bottom of the cupboard.
And isn't that amazing as well? Because again, this is something that I've heard other people say, and it's something I experience myself, that sometimes it takes other people to say to us, "Oh yeah, you'd be really good at that," before you realise that actually, oh yeah, maybe that is something I could do.
Yeah, I think so. I think we take our own skills for granted. When people say, "How can you not be good at maths?" I understand why they say that, because I equally would walk into a room and can't understand why somebody can't visualize how they can do things, but that's my skill set, and we are all different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's in recognizing that. And sometimes we think that because we can do something easily, that it's not special. But absolutely, as you just said, when you suddenly realize that actually somebody else finds what you find easy really difficult, that's when you realize that that's kind of your gift or your special skill that you bring to the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing. So you mentioned then in lockdown that was kind of a turning point for you. So had there been something that led up to that, like I don't know, maybe like a rumbling feeling inside you that I need to move from advertising and marketing? Or was it like a sudden light bulb moment? What sort of shifted for you?
It was quite a slow move. For quite a long time, I'd started to think about what could I do outside. I still needed to work and earn an income, but what else could I be doing in my spare time? Some people take up pottery or jewelry making. What could I be doing that would give me some sense of satisfaction? And actually, prior to lockdown, we had a few personal things happening at home, and at one point my husband wasn't working and he was on garden leave and couldn't do any work because of this garden. So I thought, actually, he needs a project. So I went and bought a caravan, and I have no knowledge of caravans. We don't camp in our house. So I bought this old vintage caravan after about doing sort of half an hour's research and bought it completely on a whim. And I said to my husband, "Why don't we do this up as a bit of a fun project? You've got lots of time on your hands, and then I can do the interior side." So we did that, and that was quite good fun. I've got my little caravan, Florrie, that she's still sitting on the drive. Haven't worked out quite what to do with her.
What's her name? Florrie?
Florrie, yeah, which is... My nickname is Florrie, so that's how she ended up being christened. But I really enjoyed the whole process of researching the caravans, and it's a very small confined space to work in. So you're trying to work out how you can maximise it whilst restoring it without and making it sort of fit for modern purposes. If I wasn't going to be a purist and try and restore it exactly to how it would have looked in the 1970s. So there was a research project looking at that, and then obviously looking at the interior and the colours that would have been appropriate. But I didn't want to stick to the sort of the vivid oranges and browns that it would have been covered in. So it was a bit of a process going through, and I just really enjoyed having the autonomy to do it as I wanted. It was entirely my project, and I treated it as a bit of a mini project. So I kept a record of the costs and what I'd spent on it, and I just had great fun doing it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What a fun project to get your teeth into.
It was really good fun. And lots of people and I sort of stay in her and find her really quite cozy. And the kids have enjoyed having sleepovers. So that was where it started. And then after that, I just it started to sow the seed.
Absolutely. And so once you'd kind of been bitten by the bug, as it were, what were your next steps then? Did you think, right, now I need to go and study this, or do I need to go and set up a blog, or, what were your sort of next steps?
I didn't think about it for a little while, then went back to my routine job, and then gradually kept thinking, right, well, I did that project. What can I do next? And I actually thought I need a bit of mentoring. And I looked at the mentoring I could have had within the business where I worked, and I thought that's well and good, but I don't feel that that's going to be broad enough. I feel like there's something out there, and I need it to be less constrained than corporate help that they can give you. So I contacted a friend who'd actually worked in the same industry and had decided at some point she wanted a career change, and she was running a mentoring scheme, and I joined her on a course, and we, over a few weeks, just sort of teased out what it was that I was lacking or looking for, and very quickly it became evident that it was the interior design thing, because I just kept coming back to talking about my caravan all the time and how much fun I'd had doing that. And she was really good, because she said, well, what's stopping you? So we sort of went through a process of steps, and each week I'd go away with a couple of things on the to-do list. And one of them was to find out whether interior design courses were out there for people who, still needed to work or have commitments in other parts of their lives. And I didn't really think it was going to come to anything. But as soon as I started Googling it, I found all these courses out there. And like I say, it just sort of actually felt like this could be a real possibility. And then I stumbled across your course, and then there was all the networking and all the other different elements that you offer. And I just thought, actually, that is perfect. That's what I want. I don't really know what I'm doing. I've worked in the same career for so long. I felt like I was maybe slightly institutionalized, and therefore it was like, is this really for me? But by joining the Hub Insiders and your course, I just found that I had all the tools and the support and the encouragement and that I needed to actually get going.
Absolutely. And it's actually a really brave decision, isn't it, to turn your back on something that you've done for a number of years and to step out into the unknown.
Oh, completely. I for a long time thought, right, I'm going to keep working and then do this on the side and keep my job, because that was my safety net. And I was finding it increasingly difficult at work. I really wasn't feeling that it was a good fit for me anymore. And just one day just said, I can't do this anymore. And I surprised myself, and was even equally more surprised when my husband went, yeah, okay, I think you need to go. Time's right. So I resigned, and I hadn't got a plan at the time other than to continue doing my course and finish that. So it was all a bit of a sort of a whirlwind, really, but I really felt like I needed to sort of cut those ties and make that break. Otherwise, I wasn't going to make that next step. So
Absolutely.
That was...
And I think sometimes you almost need to scare yourself a little into moving forwards, because yes, you could have stayed in your job and built up an interiors business along the side, but when you've got to make it work, it gives you a different sort of momentum, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. I was completely at sea very quick, but then I thought, actually, no, I can do this. I know how to run a project, and I I've had years of experience of project management, and then obviously I was doing the course with yourself and going through the steps of completing that. I thought, I can do this. I know how to manage a program and get things delivered. So I just treated it like that and used all of the skills and experience that I've had gained over the last many years, and just put those into practice and just treated myself as a project, really.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think all of those things that you're talking about, are so true. So we have these fears about them, but actually you kind of talked yourself round or soothed yourself into it. Like, come on, I've got these skills. I've got project management experience, and a lot of interior design is about project management. I've got a passion for it as well because I've loved doing it. I've loved decorating as a child. I've decorated a caravan. I've got the support of the hub behind me. And so you're absolutely right. Actually, you had everything that you needed in place to be able to move forwards with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the hub has been fantastic. It's been so supportive, and just that, I think that was the one thing that drew me to your course above and beyond all of the others, because I could see all of these lovely people always chatting and then enthusiastic. And, when somebody else is feeling low, we pick each other up, and it was what I needed, and it's still carrying me through everything today, because we constantly come up against fresh challenges every day, and all have our wobbles and periods of self-doubt, and actually you just dip into the chat and everybody goes, no, you're absolutely fine, keep going.
Absolutely. And there's nothing like having that bunch of cheerleaders, that have got your back, that are encouraging you. And also the practical help as well, because we all come across problems in projects that we haven't had before. And having access to the experience of other people is really, invaluable.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, so you started studying, and alongside that, you began setting up your business. So how did you go about getting sort of your first client or so?
So I used a couple of my friends and did a few pro bono jobs for them, and that sort of helped get me going. And it's been quite slow, but that's been fine because it's given me lots of time to find my feet and build my confidence. I think I would have dreaded it if somebody'd come in and sort of offered me a big project right at the beginning. So it's just been quite a steady process, and once you've done a couple of jobs, it's really good because that helps you to start promoting yourself and talk more confidently. And obviously you're then, you've got a couple of clients who can help you and obviously also talk about how it's helped them, and you can just build on that.
Amazing. And now, obviously, you've got your business, it's up and running. You are where you are at this stage of your journey. There's still more to do. There's still more to learn. There are more exciting projects out there that are waiting for you to get stuck into. If you look back on sort of how far you've come over the last couple of years, can you really see sort of that progress that you've made in the journey that you've been on?
Yeah, if I think back to where I was 2 years ago, I can't quite believe what I've done. It's less than 2 years in actual fact. I feel like it was another life that I've sort of left behind, but it's been really, really good because I've learnt so much about myself and what skills and experience I've had, and how I could easily it was to transition them into my new life. And I'm constantly learning even now, and I almost sort of in my head go, right, this is a new first. Every week is a new first. I started writing blogs a few weeks ago, so that's a new first. And then doing this podcast is a first. And all those things I would have never done if I had to continue in my career and stuck with the safer option.
And do you feel that those challenges are helping to give you more confidence, or are you just constantly terrified of everything that's coming at you?
Oh, I'm always terrified. I think that's just my natural disposition. But no, there's such a huge sense of achievement when you've done something for whether it be the first or second time, and it just propels you on to try something new. I always think that my children have obviously been really good at educating me in many ways. When they were young and they'd pick up a phone, and I was a bit of a technophobe, or a laptop, and you just see them sort of pressing everything and trying everything. And I always thought that was a really good lesson, because, you would be very scared to try anything in case you broke it. And actually, it's quite difficult to break a computer. I mean, it's not impossible, but, I thought it was a really good lesson to look at them. They're fearless, and that's how they learn. And we have to sort of, as we grow older, remember that that's the only way to learn, is to try things that take you out of your comfort zone, because otherwise you're never going to really make any progress.
Absolutely. I love that analogy. And it's making me think as well about, when I had kind of, babies and toddlers, and, just when they're learning to walk, for example, they just don't give up with it, and they fall over more times than they stay standing up, but they just keep going with it, because what they want, what they desire, that's the only way to get there, is to keep trying and to keep going with it. And it really does have parallels with business. We're so afraid of making mistakes. And in fact, you have to go out and try new things. Otherwise, you don't know what's out there and what's available for you.
Oh, absolutely. I think it makes us better people at the end of the day, and happier. And if you don't try, you're just going to spend the rest of your life wondering, what if?
Yeah. And I think that's so important as well. And for anybody, out there that's listening to this, that's feeling that they want to make a change, but that they're comfortable in their comfort zone, and that whilst they're not happy, they're not, desperately, depressed or miserable in what they're doing. But actually, there is a whole other life out there, but it does require you moving outside of that comfort zone and making yourself feel uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where the hub has been so good, because when I'm having those moments where I'm feeling way out of my depth, and I'll have a quick conversation with somebody, and we're all feeling the same, so there's a huge sense of community and reassurance there.
Absolutely. Looking back at kind of your time over this journey, do you wish that you'd started it sooner, or do you just think it was right place, right time for you?
I wish I'd done it sooner. But equally, I think, in the years running up to that, there were lots of challenges going on, both the pandemic and then, changes within our own family. And I'm not sure that the time would have been right. It might have been more difficult. And I guess I'll never know, but I'm just glad that I've done it now.
Amazing. And what advice, if any, would you give to somebody that's kind of sitting on the fence at the moment thinking, shall I, shan't I? What would you say to them?
I would say go out there and start doing some proper investigation, because actually I think that was the thing, the catalyst for me was, I thought in the back of my head, I thought, oh, it's just a pipe dream. It would be lovely, but it's not for me. And then I did start doing some exploration and let's say Googling and looking at what was out there. And things have changed since I was in education. The opportunities that are available to people now are so much broader than they were when I was at school, that actually you probably surprise yourself when you do start investigating.
Amazing. And I think it's not just about what's out there, but the ways that you can educate yourself as well. So, I mean, interior design, when I was at school, I mean, I don't even know if I'd ever really heard of it certainly not as a career option. But also being able to study online and flexibly, and being able to submit assignments by talking rather than having to write stuff down, all of those sort of flexible approaches to education that we have now that we didn't have back then.
Oh, I completely agree. I think when they did offer interior design courses, probably 30 years ago, don't really want to divulge my age there, but I think you had to be very good at fine art or something like that. And I think it was quite a niche area, and you had to have connections, and it didn't feel like it was a very accessible option. And obviously, as we've gone on, it now is an accessible option to study, but equally, it's more of an accessible option for people to have their homes designed by interior designers. It doesn't now mean that you've got to live in a stately home and have, endless bucket loads of cash, and also, having to keep up with the height of fashion and what have you. It's just, not only has it changed from a studying perspective, I think and I hope it's changing at the other end for clients, realizing that it's a much more accessible career and service that anybody can tap into.
I think you're so right about that. And I think, the increase in popularity, and particularly as well since the pandemic as well, with so many people being at home, and people are realizing how important their home environments are. We get people saying quite a lot, there's not a lot of work out there, or the market's saturated. But actually, there's loads of work out there. And it's about knowing how to market yourself and knowing about how to get the business coming into you. But you're so right. There are lots of people now employ an interior designer, whereas in the past they would have done it all themselves. Yeah. And it is becoming much more common, I think.
Yeah, and I hope people realise that, because I still come across people who, if I say I'm an interior designer, first of all, it makes me sound like I'm, quite elitist, I think, in many ways. And then also they go, oh, it's not for me. And it's very difficult to then break down those perceptions that actually it can be for anybody. The services that I offer, start at a very reasonable, level of or fee, and that's deliberately because I want to be able to reach people from all walks of life. We all want to live in somewhere that's nice and that we want to come home and feel happy in.
And there's that education piece as well that forms part of our marketing efforts, isn't there? About, informing the clients that actually it's not this elitist, expensive thing. Lots of designers pass on their trade discounts, for example. So for many people, actually, they can save themselves money by hiring an interior designer rather than doing it entirely on their own. So there is that bit about getting that message out there to people, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kate, that's been really interesting hearing about your journey and how you've got to where you are today. Before we finish today, would you mind playing a game of 1 minute designer this or that?
Oh, yeah, I've been waiting for this.
You've been waiting for it. It's getting better. There are some people that are saying, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And now we've got people that are actually actively looking forward to it.
I don't know what I'll say if it's spontaneous, but...
Okay, well, let's see. I'm going to put a minute on the clock. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. George Clark or Kevin MacLeod?
Oh, George.
Symmetrical or asymmetrical?
Symmetrical.
Brushed chrome or shiny chrome?
Oh, that's a hard one. Brushed.
Carpet or hard flooring?
Hard flooring.
Victorian or Edwardian?
Edwardian.
Dining chairs or dining benches?
Benches.
Coastal or country?
Oh, country.
Coordinated or eclectic? Eclectic.
Eclectic.
Smooth or textured?
Textured.
Wallpaper or panelling?
Wallpaper.
Dulux or Volspar?
Dulux. Coffee
table or footstool?
Footstool.
Rug or carpet?
Rug.
And there we go. That's the timer has gone. The time is up. Kate, thank you very much for playing Designer This or That with me today. Amazing. So, Kate, if somebody is in your local area and they are looking for an interior designer, how can people get in touch with you?
So they can visit my website. I have a website. I'm also on Google. So it is a bit of a mouthful, but it's Kate VDM Interior Designs. .co.uk, obviously.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, I'm sure that people will be looking out. And is your little caravan on your Instagram?
It's not on my business one, it's on my personal one. Maybe I should put it up there.
Oh, definitely put a couple of images on your account. I'd love to go over and see what you've done with it. And what an amazing project. I would love to do something like that. How exciting.
It was good fun. Yeah.
Amazing. Kate, thank you so much for giving up your time today to come and speak to us. It's been really interesting to hear your journey. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into HubCast by the Interior Designers Hub. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take a screenshot and share it to Facebook, Instagram, or your favourite social media channel. Make sure to tag me in at Interior Designers Hub and let me know what you enjoyed about this episode. I reply to each and every comment. I'd also like to offer you an incredible free gift, which is going to show you the exact roadmap that you need to take to become a wildly successful interior designer. It shares our secrets to business success. If you'd like to get your hands on that, head on over to interiordesignershub.co.uk/roadmap right now. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.